When a woman is utterly destroyed by her husband, she has two choices: die in the shadows or become the worst nightmare he ever created. Leora Vance stands before the skyscraper on Fifth Avenue, her hands trembling as she clutches her worn-out handbag. All that remains after Rowan Cade tore her life apart. A divorce. A deception. And a city that doesn't care whether she lives or dies. But what Rowan doesn't know, Leora's grandmother has buried a secret for 30 years. A legacy. A fortune. And a reason for revenge. This is the story of rising from the ashes, where the outcast woman becomes what her enemies fear most, the one with nothing left to lose. If you want to see an empire crumble and a woman reclaim it all, stay until the end. And don't forget to like and comment the city you're watching in so I know how far this story has come. The pen felt heavier than it should have. Leora Vance sat in the leather chair, her fingers wrapped around the Mont Blanc like it was a knife instead of an instrument of her own destruction. Across the mahogany table, Rowan Cade leaned back in his seat, arms crossed, mouth curved in something that wasn't quite a smile, but wasn't quite human either. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows framed Manhattan like a postcard. Glass towers, steel veins, a city built on ambition and indifference. Sign it, Rowan said. Not a question, not a request. Leora's throat tightened. She looked down at the papers spread before her. Divorce settlement, asset division, waiver of rights. Legal jargon wrapped around a single truth. She was about to give him everything. Rowan, please, miss. Sign it. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Rowan Cade had built an empire on the back of that tone. Calm, controlled, cutting. Real estate, hedge funds, political donors who owed him favors and feared his memory. He didn't yell. He didn't have to. Men like Rowan owned silence the way other men owned weapons. Leora's hand trembled as she pressed the pen to paper. Her signature came out shaky, childish. She hated herself for it. Rowan's lawyer, a thin man with silver hair and dead eyes, gathered the documents without a word. He slid them into a briefcase, clicked it shut, and left the room like he'd just witnessed a transaction instead of a murder. Because that's what this was. Not a divorce. A murder. Rowan stood, buttoning his suit jacket with the kind of precision that made everything look rehearsed. He glanced at Leora the way someone might glance at a stain on expensive carpet, mildly annoyed, already planning how to remove it. You'll be out by tonight, he said. Security will escort you. Leora's chest burned. This is my home. Was. Rowan tilted his head. Penthouse was in my name, always was. You just lived here. I gave you 8 years. You gave me nothing. His voice dropped, colder now. You were decoration, Leora, a face for charity galas, a name on invitations. That's all you ever were. The words landed like stones, heavy, bruising. Leora opened her mouth, but nothing came out. What could she say? That he was wrong? That she'd been more than that? She wasn't sure she believed it herself anymore. Rowan walked to the door, paused, looked back. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Take your things. Leave quietly. And for God's sake, don't embarrass yourself by calling anyone. No one's coming to save you. Then he was gone. Leora sat there, alone in the conference room, staring at the empty chair across from her. The city hummed below, taxis honking, people shouting, life moving forward without pause. She felt like she was underwater, drowning in glass and steel and silence. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Elevator. Now. Leora frowned. She grabbed her purse, a worn leather bag she'd owned since college, the only thing Rowan had never replaced, and walked out into the hallway. The office was pristine. White walls. Minimalist art. Everything sharp and bloodless. The elevator doors opened before she could press the button. Inside stood a man in a black suit, tall, broad shoulders, buzz cut, security. Ma'am, he said, voice flat. Mr. Cade asked me to escort you. Leora stepped inside. The doors closed. The elevator descended. She watched the floor numbers drop, 45, 44, 43, and felt her life falling with them. At the lobby, the security guard walked her through the marble foyer, past the reception desk where a young woman in a pencil skirt pretended not to stare, out onto Fifth Avenue, into the chaos. Crowds moved like currents, tourists, businessmen, women in heels that clicked against concrete. Leora stood there, clutching her purse, blinking against the afternoon sun. The security guard handed her a manila envelope. Mr. Cade wanted you to have this. She took it, opened it. Inside, a single check. $5,000. Leora laughed. It came out sharp, bitter. $5,000. For 8 years. For her name. For her dignity. The guard turned and walked back inside. Leora stood alone on the sidewalk, a ghost in a city that didn't see ghosts. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. Same unknown number. Bryant Park. North End. Bench by the fountain. 20 minutes. Don't be late. Leora stared at the screen. Her first instinct was to delete it. Walk away. Disappear into the crowd and never look back. But where would she go? She didn't have a home. Didn't have money. Not real money. The check in her hand wouldn't last a month in this city. She had no family left. No friends who weren't Rowan's friends first. She had nothing. So she started walking. Bryant Park was full of people pretending to relax. Tourists snapping photos. Office workers eating sad salads. A street musician playing something that sounded like sadness set to guitar. Leora found the bench. North End. By the fountain. She sat. Waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. She was about to leave when a man sat down beside her. He was older, mid-60s maybe, with silver hair and a tailored coat that screamed money, but not new money, old money, quiet money. The kind that didn't need to prove itself. Leora Vance, he said. Not a question. She turned to him, wary. Who are you? My name is Nathaniel Cross. I was your grandmother's attorney. Leora blinked. My grandmother's been dead for 15 years. Yes. Nathaniel pulled a folder from his briefcase, set it on the bench between them. Which is why this conversation is long overdue. Leora looked at the folder like it might explode. Your grandmother, Eleanor Vance, established a trust in 1998. A significant trust. It was designed to remain dormant until certain conditions were met. What conditions? Your 30th birthday. And... Nathaniel paused, chose his words carefully. The dissolution of any marriage you might enter before that age. Leora's heart stuttered. What? Nathaniel opened the folder. Inside were documents, legal papers, bank statements, property deeds, numbers with more zeros than Leora had ever seen in one place. Your grandmother was a remarkable woman, Nathaniel said quietly. She built a fortune through investments, real estate, and a few very strategic partnerships. She also witnessed her own daughter, your mother, destroyed by a man who took everything from her. Eleanor swore that would never happen to you. Leora's hand shook as she picked up the papers. Her eyes scanned the figures. $12 million. A penthouse on the Upper West Side. Stock portfolios. Bonds. Assets scattered across 3 states. This can't be real. It's very real. Nathaniel leaned back. Your grandmother made provisions. If you married before 30 and that marriage ended in divorce, the trust would activate immediately. She wanted to ensure you'd never be powerless, never be trapped. Leora's vision blurred. Tears came fast, hot, uncontrollable. Nathaniel handed her a handkerchief. The penthouse is already in your name, has been for years. The funds can be transferred within 48 hours. And there's more. More? Your grandmother also established a foundation, dormant, waiting for you. It's designed to support women in situations like yours. Women who've been financially abused, legally destroyed, left with nothing. She called it the Phoenix Initiative. Leora couldn't breathe. Nathaniel stood. You have a choice now, Ms. Vance. You can take this money, disappear, start over somewhere quiet, or... He looked at her, something sharp in his eyes. You can do what your grandmother hoped you'd do. You can fight. He placed a business card on top of the folder. My number. Call me when you decide. Then he walked away, disappearing into the crowd like he'd never been there. Leora sat on the bench staring at the papers in her lap. $12 million. A foundation. A weapon. She thought about Rowan, his cold eyes, his casual cruelty, the way he'd erased her like she was nothing. And she thought about her grandmother, a woman she'd barely known, who died when Leora was 15. A woman who'd spent her final years building a trap for men like Rowan Cade. Leora's hand stopped shaking. She picked up her phone, dialed the number on the card. Nathaniel answered on the first ring. Ms. Vance, I want the penthouse ready by tomorrow, Leora said. Her voice didn't sound like her own. It sounded stronger, colder. And I want a meeting with the board of the Phoenix Initiative by the end of the week. A pause, then, consider it done. Leora hung up. She stood, folded the papers, slid them into her purse, and walked out of Bryant Park with her head high. Woot. The penthouse on the Upper West Side was nothing like Rowan's glass fortress. It was older, warmer, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, hardwood floors that creaked in the right places, windows that looked out over Central Park, trees instead of steel, green instead of gray. Leora stood in the living room surrounded by furniture covered in white sheets and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Leora Vance. The voice was male, smooth, accented, European maybe. Hard to place. Congratulations on your recent windfall. Leora's blood went cold. Who is this? A friend. I don't have friends. Not yet. A pause. But you have enemies, and that makes us allies. Leora walked to the window, looked out at the park. What do you want? To give you something you need. Information. About what? Your husband. Or should I say your ex-husband? The voice shifted, colder now. Rowan Cade is not what he appears to be. His empire is built on sand. Worse than sand. Blood. Leora's grip tightened on the phone. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me tomorrow, noon, the Met, Egyptian wing. Come alone. Why should I trust you? Because I'm the only one who knows what Rowan really is. And if you want to destroy him, truly destroy him, you'll need me. The line went dead. Leora stood there, heart pounding, staring at her reflection in the window. She looked different, not broken, not defeated, dangerous. The next day, Leora wore black. She walked through the Met like she owned it, past marble statues and Renaissance paintings, through halls where tourists whispered and security guards yawned. The Egyptian wing was quieter, darker, filled with sarcophagi and ancient stones that had outlived empires. A man stood by the Temple of Dendur, tall, dark hair, sharp suit. 40, maybe. Handsome in the way that made you nervous instead of comfortable. Leora Vance, he said, turning to face her. You have a name? Lucian Varick. That's supposed to mean something to me? No. Lucian smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. But it means something to Rowan Cade. Leora crossed her arms. Talk. Lucian pulled a tablet from his coat, swiped through images, stopped on one. A photograph. Rowan. Shaking hands with a man Leora didn't recognize. In the background, barely visible, armed guards. This was taken 6 months ago in Medellin, Lucian said. The man Rowan is meeting with runs one of the largest money laundering operations in South America. Rowan's hedge fund has been cleaning cartel money for the past 3 years. Leora's stomach dropped. Lucian swiped again. Another photo. Rowan. Different man. Warehouse setting. This is Viktor Sokolov, Russian oligarch, sanctioned by 6 countries. Rowan helps him move assets through shell companies in Delaware. Another swipe, another photo. This is Senator Patricia Haynes. She chairs the Senate Finance Committee. Rowan has her on payroll. She kills regulations. He funds her campaigns. Leora stared at the screen, her mind racing. Lucien pocketed the tablet. Your ex-husband isn't a businessman, Leora. He's a criminal, and he's very good at it. Why are you telling me this? Because I want him gone. Lucian's voice was flat, final. And you're the perfect weapon. I'm not a weapon. Yes, you are. You just don't know it yet. Lucian stepped closer. Rowan discarded you. That makes you invisible to him, irrelevant. He won't see you coming, and by the time he does, it'll be too late. Leora shook her head. This is insane. This is justice. This is suicide. Only if you fail. Lucien handed her a flash drive. Everything I have. Financial records, emails, photographs. Enough to bury him 10 times over. But you need to move carefully. Rowan has friends, powerful friends. If you go after him, you go all the way. No half measures. No mercy. Leora looked at the flash drive in her hand. Why me? She asked quietly. Lucian's expression softened, just for a second. Because you deserve it, and because he underestimated you. Men like Rowan always do. He turned and walked away, footsteps echoing through the ancient hall. Leora stood alone, surrounded by relics of dead kings and fallen empires. She slipped the flash drive into her purse and walked out of the Met with a plan forming in her mind. Ichati. 1 week later, Leora sat in a conference room on the 42nd floor of a building in Midtown. Around the table, 4 women, lawyers, activists, survivors, the board of the Phoenix Initiative. Leora had spent the past 7 days reading files, learning names, understanding the machinery her grandmother had built. Now it was time to put it to use. The foundation has been dormant for 15 years, said the woman to Leora's right, a sharp-eyed attorney named Margaret Chen. Eleanor funded it, structured it, but never activated it. She was waiting for you. Leora nodded. Then let's activate it. What's the mission? Asked another woman, younger, mid-30s, a former prosecutor named Jenna Morales. Leora leaned forward. We help women who've been destroyed by financial abuse. Women who signed papers they didn't understand. Women who lost everything to men who knew the system better. We give them lawyers. We give them housing. We give them a way out. Margaret raised an eyebrow. That's ambitious. It's necessary. And expensive. I have $12 million, Leora said flatly. We'll use it. Jenna whistled low. That'll fund a lot of cases. Good. Leora opened her laptop, pulled up a document. I also want to go public. Press conference. Next month. I want the world to know what we're doing. Margaret frowned. That's risky. If you go public, you become a target. I'm already a target. Leora's voice was cold. The difference is now I have resources. And a plan. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, the flash drive from Lucy. The files, the photographs. Margaret opened it. Her face went pale. Where did you get this? Does it matter? Leora, this is... Margaret looked up. This is evidence of federal crimes, money laundering, racketeering. If this is real, it's real. Then you need to take it to the FBI. I will. Leora met her eyes. But not yet. First, I need to know exactly who Rowan's allies are, who he's paying, who he owns. I can't go to the feds until I know the full picture. Jenna leaned back in her chair. You're playing a dangerous game. I'm not playing. Silence. Then Margaret closed the folder. What do you need from us? Leora smiled. It wasn't warm. I need you to help me build a case, airtight, undeniable. And when the time comes, I need you to stand with me when I burn his world to the ground. The women around the table looked at each other. Then, one by one, they nodded. Guys. Rowan Cade stood in his office, staring out at the city, phone pressed to his ear. She's doing what? He said, voice tight. On the other end, his head of security. She started a foundation for abused women, press conference scheduled for next month. Rowan's jaw clenched. How? We don't know. She had no assets, no money, but somehow she's got funding, a lot of it. Rowan's mind raced. Leora didn't have family money, didn't have connections. She was supposed to disappear, fade into nothing. Find out where the money came from, Rowan said, and find out who she's talking to. Yes, sir. Rowan hung up. He turned back to the window, his reflection staring back at him. For the first time in years, Rowan Cade felt something he didn't recognize. Unease. Leora sat in her penthouse, lights off, city glowing below. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lucien. You made the right choice. She didn't reply. Instead, she opened her laptop, pulled up the files. Rowan's empire spread across the screen. Shell companies, offshore accounts, encrypted transactions. A web of crimes so tangled it would take months to unravel. But Leora had time, and she had something Rowan didn't. Nothing to lose. She leaned back in her chair, eyes on the screen, and whispered to the empty room. Let's see how you like being erased. Cake. The coffee had gone cold 2 hours ago, but Leora kept drinking it anyway. She sat at the dining table in her penthouse, laptop open, files scattered across the polished wood like evidence at a crime scene. Which, in a way, they were. 3 monitors, 12 spreadsheets, 47 shell companies, and a headache that felt like someone was driving nails through her skull. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Buzzed again. She grabbed it, ready to throw it across the room, then saw the name. Margaret Chen. Leora answered. What? Good morning to you too. Margaret's voice was dry. We have a problem. Leora rubbed her eyes. Define problem. The press conference. I've been making calls, lining up media coverage. 3 outlets confirmed yesterday. This morning, 2 of them pulled out. Leora's hand stilled. Why? They won't say, but I've been doing this long enough to recognize a pattern. Someone's applying pressure. Rowan. Probably, or someone in his orbit. Margaret paused. Leora, if he's already moving against you, we need to accelerate the timeline. Get everything to the FBI now before he can bury it. No. Leora's voice was flat. Not yet. Why the hell not? Because I don't know who's dirty. Rowan has friends everywhere. Politicians, judges, federal agents. If we hand this over to the wrong person, the evidence disappears. And so do we. Silence on the other end. Then, so what do you want to do? Leora looked at the files spread before her. I want to know exactly how deep this goes. Every name, every transaction, every dirty dollar, and then I want to hit them all at once. No warning, no escape. Margaret sighed. You're not just trying to expose him, you're trying to destroy him. Yes. That's personal. Damn right it is. Another pause. Then Margaret's voice softened just slightly. Be careful, Leora. Men like Rowan don't go down quietly, and when they fall, they take people with them. Let them try. Leora hung up. She stared at the screen, her reflection ghosting over the spreadsheets. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy knot. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Because she hadn't. The files from Lucien were a labyrinth. Every answer led to 3 more questions. Every shell company had another shell company beneath it. Rowan had built his empire like a fortress, layers upon layers of legal protection, offshore accounts, fake names, dead ends. But Leora was patient, and she was angry. Anger was a kind of fuel. It burned clean, kept you awake when your body screamed for sleep, kept you focused when everything else blurred. She took another sip of cold coffee and dove back in. 2 days later, Leora stood in a law office in Lower Manhattan, staring across a desk at a woman who looked like she could kill someone with a briefcase. Jenna Morales, former federal prosecutor, currently running a nonprofit that helped domestic violence survivors navigate the legal system. And according to Margaret, one of the sharpest legal minds in the city. You want me to do what now? Jenna said, leaning back in her chair. Leora slid a folder across the desk. I want you to help me build a RICO case against Rowan Cade. Jenna didn't touch the folder. RICO, as in racketeering. Yes. You understand that's a federal charge. That means federal prosecutors, FBI, grand juries. This isn't small claims court. I understand. Jenna picked up the folder, flipped it open. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. Her expression didn't change, but her jaw tightened. Where did you get this? Does it matter? It matters if it's inadmissible. If you obtained this illegally, I didn't obtain it. Someone gave it to me. Who? Leora hesitated. I don't know his real name. Jenna closed the folder. You don't know his name? No. But you trust him. I trust the evidence. Jenna laughed. It was sharp, humorless. Leora, do you have any idea how insane this sounds? You're sitting here with files that implicate one of the most powerful men in New York in multiple federal crimes, files you got from a stranger whose name you don't know, and you want me to help you build a case? Yes. Jenna stared at her. Why? Because Rowan destroyed me, and I'm going to return the favor. That's not justice. That's revenge. Call it whatever you want. Jenna stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. Even if this evidence is real, and that's a big if, you're talking about going up against someone with unlimited resources. Rowan has lawyers on retainer who bill more in a month than most people make in a year. He has connections, political capital. He can delay this case for years, decades, maybe. Then we make it impossible to delay. Jenna turned. How? We go public first, press conference, media blitz. We put everything out in the open before he can bury it. That's a terrible idea. Why? Because the second you go public, you become a target. Rowan will come after you with everything he has. Lawsuits, defamation claims, he'll destroy your credibility, your reputation, your life. And if the evidence doesn't hold up in court, you'll be the one who ends up in jail. Leora crossed her arms. I'm already a target, and my reputation is already destroyed. I have nothing left to lose. Everyone has something to lose. Not me. Jenna studied her, long, hard, like she was trying to see through skin and bone to whatever was underneath. Finally, she sat back down. If I help you, and that's a massive if, I need guarantees. Full transparency, no more mystery sources, no more secrets. And the second I think this case is falling apart, I walk. Understood? Leora nodded. Understood. Jenna opened the folder again, started reading. Her eyes moved fast, flicking across pages, absorbing information like a machine. After 10 minutes, she looked up. This is real, she said quietly. I know. I mean really real. These transactions, if they check out, Rowan's not just dirty. He's running a criminal enterprise. I know. Jenna closed the folder. Okay, I'm in, but we do this smart. No cowboy shit. We build the case brick by brick, and we don't move until we're ready. Leora extended her hand. Deal. Jenna shook it. Her grip was firm, final. One more thing, Jenna said. Who's your mystery source, the one who gave you the files? His name is Lucian Varick. Jenna's face went pale. You know him, Leora said. It wasn't a question. I know of him. Jenna's voice was tight. Lucian Varick is not a good guy, Leora. He's not some whistleblower trying to do the right thing. He's a fixer. He works for people who make Rowan look like a Boy Scout. Leora's stomach dropped. What are you talking about? Varick is connected to organized crime, European syndicates. He brokers deals, launders money, cleans up messes. If he gave you those files, it's because he wants something. And whatever that something is, it's not justice. Leora stood. I don't care what he wants. I care about what I want. And what's that? Rowan. Broken. Finished. Jenna shook her head. You're playing with fire. Then I'll burn. That night, Leora sat in her penthouse, alone, staring at her phone. She'd tried calling Lucian 3 times. Each time, straight to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. What would she even say? Are you using me? Is this whole thing a setup? She didn't know. Worse, she wasn't sure she cared. If Lucian was dirty, so what? The evidence was still real. The crimes were still crimes. Rowan was still guilty. Did it matter if the knife came from a clean hand or a dirty one? Leora closed her eyes, tried to slow her breathing, tried to quiet the noise in her head. But it didn't work, because somewhere in the back of her mind, a voice whispered, You're in over your head. Her phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. Rooftop. Midnight. Come alone. Leora stared at the screen. She should ignore it. Should call Margaret. Should call Jenna. Instead, she grabbed her coat. Bus. The rooftop was cold. Wind whipped across the concrete, carrying the smell of rain and exhaust. The city stretched out below, a grid of light and shadow. Lucien stood near the edge, hands in his pockets, looking out at the skyline. You're late, he said without turning. I'm here. Leora walked toward him, stopped a few feet away. Who are you? Lucien glanced at her. You know who I am. No, I know your name. I don't know who you are. Does it matter? Yes. Lucien turned to face her. I'm someone who wants Rowan Cade gone, same as you. Why? Because he's a problem. For who? Lucien smiled. It was cold. For people you don't want to meet. Leora's chest tightened. Jenna says you're a criminal. Jenna Morales is a smart woman. So it's true. I've done things you wouldn't approve of. Yes. Then why should I trust you? Because I haven't lied to you. Lucien stepped closer. Everything I gave you is real. Every file, every transaction, every dirty secret. I could have fed you fake evidence, could have set you up, but I didn't. Why not? Because you're useful, and because Rowan underestimated you. That makes you dangerous. I'm not dangerous, I'm angry. Same thing. Leora shook her head. This is insane. I don't even know what you want. I want Rowan's empire dismantled. I want his network exposed. I want him in a cage. Lucian's voice was flat. You want revenge. I want results. Our goals align. For now. For now is enough. Leora looked at him, really looked, tried to see past the tailored suit and the sharp eyes to whatever was underneath. She couldn't. If you're lying to me, I'm not. If you betray me, I won't. How do I know? Lucian's expression softened, just for a second. You don't. You take a leap, or you walk away. Your choice. Leora's hands curled into fists. She thought about Rowan, about the way he'd looked at her across that table, like she was nothing. She thought about her grandmother, about the trust, about the foundation. And she thought about the files, the evidence, the crimes. Okay, she said quietly. Lucian nodded. Good, because we're running out of time. What do you mean? Rowan knows you're moving against him. He's already started digging. And when he finds out about the foundation, about the files, he's going to come after you hard. Let him. This isn't a game, Leora. Rowan doesn't play fair. If he sees you as a threat, he'll eliminate you. And he has the resources to make it look like an accident. Leora's blood went cold. Are you saying he'd kill me? I'm saying he'd consider it. Silence. The wind howled. Leora pulled her coat tighter. So what do we do? We move faster. Press conference happens next week, not next month. We go public before he can stop us. Jenna will never agree to that. Then don't ask her permission. This is your fight. You call the shots. Leora looked out at the city. 1,000,000 lights, 1,000,000 lives. None of them caring about her. None of them knowing what was coming. Okay, she said. Next week. Lucian pulled a phone from his pocket, handed it to her. Burner, use this from now on. Your regular phone is compromised. Leora took it. How do you know? Because Rowan's smarter than you think, and because I've been tracking his moves. Lucian turned back to the edge. Go home, Leora. Get some sleep. You're going to need it. Leora didn't move. What happens after the press conference? War. And if we lose? Lucian glanced at her. We won't. How do you know? Because you have something Rowan doesn't. What? You have nothing to lose, and people with nothing to lose are the most dangerous people in the world. Lucian walked past her toward the stairwell, disappeared into the shadows. Leora stood alone on the rooftop, wind cutting through her coat, city glowing below. She looked down at the burner phone in her hand and realized she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Three days later, Leora sat in a studio apartment in Brooklyn, watching Margaret pace back and forth like a caged animal. This is insane, Margaret said for the 5th time. You can't move the press conference up by 3 weeks. We're not ready. We don't have 3 weeks. Leora kept her voice calm. Rowan's already moving. If we wait, he'll bury us. If we rush, we'll bury ourselves. Jenna sat in the corner, arms crossed, watching the argument like a referee at a boxing match. Leora, Margaret said, stopping in front of her. I understand you're angry. I understand you want justice. But this is not how you get it. You go public with half-baked evidence, and Rowan's lawyers will tear you apart. They'll call it a vendetta. They'll discredit every document, and you'll end up looking like a bitter ex-wife with an axe to grind. I am a bitter ex-wife with an axe to grind. Exactly, which is why we need to be smarter than him. Leora stood. I am being smart. I'm hitting him before he sees it coming. He already sees it coming, Margaret's voice rose. You think he's just sitting in his office, oblivious? He knows you're up to something, and the second you step in front of those cameras, he's going to unleash hell. Good. Let him. Margaret threw up her hands. You're not listening. I'm listening. I just don't agree. Jenna stood. Okay, everyone take a breath. Both women turned to her. Jenna looked at Leora. Margaret's right. If we go public now, we're vulnerable. The evidence is strong, but it's not airtight. We need corroboration. Witnesses. Documents that can survive a legal challenge. We have documents. We have copies. We need originals. We need chain of custody. We need sources who will testify. Then get them. It takes time. We don't have time. Jenna's jaw tightened. Then you're going to lose. Leora stepped closer. I've already lost everything. This is about making sure he loses too. That's not justice, that's mutual destruction. I'll take it. Silence. Margaret looked at Jenna. Jenna looked at Leora. Finally, Margaret spoke. If we do this, if we move the press conference to next week, I need you to understand something. We might not win. We might not even survive. Rowan has the power to destroy all of us. And if we go down hard. Leora met her eyes. I know. And you're still willing to do it? Yes. Margaret looked at Jenna. What about you? Jenna was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm in, but we do this right. Full disclosure. No more secrets. And if this blows up, we all go down together. Leora nodded. Together. Margaret sighed. God help us.
The next 72 hours were chaos. Phone calls, emails, press releases drafted and redrafted, reporters contacted, venues secured, security hired. Leora barely slept. She sat at her dining table, surrounded by coffee cups and legal pads, orchestrating the attack like a general preparing for war. Margaret handled the media. Jenna handled the legal strategy. And Leora handled everything else, the narrative, the messaging, the optics. On the third night, her burner phone buzzed. A text from Lucien. Ready? Leora typed back, yes, good, because Rowan just made his move. Leora's heart stopped. What move? Check your email. Main account. Now. Leora grabbed her laptop, opened her email. At the top of her inbox, a message from Rowan's lawyer. Subject, cease and desist. She clicked it open. The letter was 5 pages long. Legal jargon wrapped around a simple threat. If Leora proceeded with any public statements regarding Rowan Cade, she would be sued for defamation, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Damages sought, $50 million. Leora read it twice. Then she forwarded it to Margaret and Jenna. Her phone rang. Margaret. Did you see it? Margaret's voice was tight. I saw it. This is a scare tactic. He's trying to shut you down before the press conference. Is it working? Should it be? Leora looked at the screen, at Rowan's lawyer's name, at the threat. No, she said quietly. Good, because we're not backing down. Leora hung up. She sat there staring at the email, feeling something shift inside her. Fear. Yes, but also clarity. Rowan was afraid, and that meant she was winning. The press conference was scheduled for Friday, 10 a.m. A hotel conference room in Midtown. 15 reporters confirmed. Cameras. Microphones. The whole circus. Thursday night, Leora stood in front of her bathroom mirror practicing her statement. My name is Leora Vance, and I'm here to tell you about a man who built an empire on lies. Her voice shook. She tried again. My name is Leora Vance, and I'm here to expose Rowan Cade for what he really is. Better. She ran through it 5 more times. Each time her voice got stronger, steadier. By the 10th run-through, she almost believed it. Her burner phone buzzed. Lucien, sleep. You'll need it. Leora didn't respond. She turned off the lights, lay down in bed, closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come. Instead, her mind raced. Through the evidence. Through the plan. Through all the ways this could go wrong. At 3 a.m., she gave up. Got out of bed. Made coffee. Sat at the window. Watched the city wake up. And waited for dawn. Friday morning arrived cold and gray. Leora dressed carefully. Black suit, white blouse, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She wanted to look composed, professional. Not like a victim, like a weapon. At 9:30, she arrived at the hotel. Margaret was already there, pacing in the hallway, phone pressed to her ear. I don't care if he's threatening legal action, Margaret said into the phone. We're going forward. Yes, I'll call you back. She hung up, looked at Leora. 3 more outlets just pulled out. Leora's stomach sank. How many do we have left? 7, maybe 8. That's enough. Is it? It has to be. Jenna appeared from around the corner carrying a briefcase.
Security's in place, exits covered. If anyone tries to disrupt the conference, they'll be removed. Leora nodded. Good. Margaret checked her watch. 10 minutes. You ready? Leora looked at the conference room doors. Through the small windows, she could see cameras being set up, reporters taking their seats. No, she said honestly. Good, Jenna said. If you weren't scared, I'd be worried. Leora took a breath, let it out slow. Let's do this. They walked into the conference room together. The lights were blinding. Leora sat at a table at the front of the room, Margaret on one side, Jenna on the other. Behind them, a screen displaying the Phoenix Initiative logo. In front of them, cameras, microphones, reporters with notebooks and recorders, and in the back, barely visible, a figure in a dark coat. Lucien. Leora's heart pounded. Margaret leaned toward the microphone. Thank you all for coming. My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm the legal counsel for the Phoenix Initiative, a foundation dedicated to supporting survivors of financial abuse. Today, we're here to announce the launch of this initiative and to share some information about its founding. She nodded to Leora. Leora leaned forward, her hands shook. She pressed them flat against the table. My name is Leora Vance, she said. Her voice was steady, strong. 6 weeks ago, I was divorced by Rowan Cade, a prominent businessman and hedge fund manager. In that divorce, I was stripped of everything, my home, my assets, my identity. I walked away with nothing. She paused. Let the words settle. But what Rowan didn't know is that I had a grandmother who understood what it meant to be destroyed by a man, and she made sure that would never happen to me. Leora pulled out the folder, opened it. Over the past month, I've uncovered evidence that Rowan Cade is not just a businessman. He's a criminal. His empire is built on money laundering, racketeering, and fraud. And I'm here today to make sure the world knows it. The room erupted. Reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing. Leora kept talking. I have documents, financial records, emails, transactions linking Rowan to criminal organizations across 3 continents, and I'm handing all of it over to federal authorities. More shouting. Margaret raised her hand. We'll take questions. The doors at the back of the room burst open. Rowan Cade walked in. The room went silent. He stood there, perfectly composed, flanked by 2 lawyers in expensive suits. His eyes locked on Leora. This press conference is over, Rowan said. His voice was calm, cold. Mrs. Vance is making defamatory statements based on fabricated evidence. My attorneys have filed an injunction. Your attorneys can go to hell, Leora said. Rowan's jaw tightened. Leora stood. You don't get to silence me anymore, Rowan. You don't get to erase me. I have proof, and everyone in this room is going to see it. She nodded to Jenna. Jenna pulled out a laptop, connected it to the screen behind them. Files appeared, bank statements, wire transfers, encrypted emails. Rowan's face went white. Get that off the screen, he said to his lawyers. They didn't move, because they were staring at the evidence too. One of the reporters stood. Mr. Cade, can you comment on these allegations? Rowan turned. No comment. Are you denying the charges? This is a vindictive attack by a bitter ex-wife. Are you denying the charges? The reporter repeated. Rowan's eyes flicked to Leora. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked afraid. We're done here, Rowan said. He turned and walked out. His lawyers followed. The room exploded into chaos. Questions, shouts, cameras turning to follow Rowan's exit. Leora sat down, hands shaking, heart racing. Margaret leaned over. That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the stupidest. Probably both, Leora whispered. Jenna closed the laptop. Well, there's no going back now. Leora looked at the doors where Rowan had disappeared. Good, she said. That night, Leora sat in her penthouse watching the news. Every channel was running the story. Allegations of money laundering against prominent businessman. Ex-wife exposes Rowan Cade's criminal empire. Federal investigation launched into Cade Enterprises. Leora's phone rang. Margaret. You're trending on Twitter, Margaret said. Is that good or bad? Both. Half the internet thinks you're a hero. The other half thinks you're insane. What do you think? Margaret was quiet. Then, I think you just declared war, and I think Rowan's going to hit back, hard. Let him. Leora, I'm not afraid anymore, Margaret. I'm done being afraid. Margaret sighed. Call me if anything happens. Anything. I will. Leora hung up. She walked to the window, looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, Rowan was planning his next move, and somewhere out there, Lucian was watching. Her burner phone buzzed. Lucian. Well done. Now the real fight begins. Leora stared at the message, then typed back. I'm ready. But as she hit send, a noise came from the hallway outside her apartment. Footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Leora's heart stopped. She walked to the door, looked through the peephole. 2 men in suits stood in the hallway. Not Rowan's lawyers. Something worse. One of them raised his hand, knocked. Miss Vance? A voice said. Calm, professional. FBI, we need to talk. Leora's blood turned to ice. She looked down at the burner phone in her hand, at the files on her laptop, at the city glowing through the window, and realized she'd just crossed the point of no return. To be continued. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. Leora's hand froze on the doorknob. FBI. The word echoed in her skull like a death sentence. She looked through the peephole again. 2 men, dark suits, one holding a badge up to the glass. The gold shield caught the hallway light. Ms. Vance, the voice said again, we know you're in there. Open the door, please. Leora's mind raced. This was supposed to happen. Eventually. She'd planned to go to the FBI, on her terms, with Jenna beside her, with everything organized and clean. Not like this. Not at midnight. Not alone. She glanced at her laptop on the dining table, files still open, evidence scattered across the screen. The burner phone in her pocket felt like a stone. Ms. Vance, last chance. Open the door or we'll use the key the building manager provided. Leora took a breath, steadied herself, opened the door. The 2 men stood there, faces neutral, eyes cold. The one holding the badge was older, maybe 50, with gray at his temples, and the kind of tired that came from seeing too much. His partner was younger, 30s, built like he spent too much time at the gym. Special Agent Marcus Reeves, the older one said, pocketing his badge. This is Agent Torres. We need to ask you some questions about your press conference today. Leora stepped back. Come in. They walked into her penthouse like they owned it, eyes scanning, taking inventory. Torres moved to the windows, looked out at the city. Reeves went straight to the dining table, to the laptop. Mind if I take a look? He asked. It wasn't really a question. Actually, I do, Leora said. That's privileged information prepared with my attorney. Reeves smiled. It didn't touch his eyes. Funny thing about that, we've been investigating Rowan Cade for 18 months. Financial crimes, money laundering, racketeering, and then today you show up at a press conference with evidence we've never seen before. Leora's stomach dropped. So here's what I want to know, Reeves continued. Where did you get it? Leora kept her voice steady. I'm not answering questions without my lawyer present. That's your right, but let me be clear about something. Reeves stepped closer. If you obtained that evidence illegally, if you hacked into systems, bribed employees, stole documents, then you're looking at federal charges. Obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, computer fraud. You'll go to prison, Ms. Vance, and Rowan Cade will walk free. The words hit like a fist. Leora's hands curled into fists at her sides. I didn't obtain anything illegally. Someone gave it to me. Who? I don't know. Torres turned from the window. You don't know. No? But you trusted them enough to go public with information that could destroy one of the most powerful men in New York. The information is real. Maybe, Reeves said. Or maybe it's been doctored, altered, designed to look real but fall apart under scrutiny, which is exactly what'll happen if we can't verify the source. Leora's chest tightened. It's real. I've verified it. How? Leora stopped. Because she hadn't verified it. Not really. She'd trusted Lucian, trusted the files, trusted her own rage. Reeves watched her face. You didn't verify anything, did you? Silence. Ms. Vance, I'm going to give you some advice, free of charge. Whatever game you think you're playing, stop now, before you end up on the wrong side of this investigation. I'm not playing a game. Then what are you doing? I'm exposing a criminal. No, Reeves said quietly. You're exposing yourself. And if you're not careful, you're going to take down everyone around you too. He pulled a card from his pocket, set it on the table. When you're ready to talk, really talk, call me. Until then, stay out of our investigation. He nodded to Torres. They walked to the door.
Reeves paused at the threshold. One more thing. Your source. Whoever gave you those files. Be very careful. Because people who hand over that kind of information usually want something in return, and it's never what you think. Then they were gone. Leora stood in the middle of her penthouse, alone, heart hammering. She grabbed her burner phone, dialed Lucian, straight to voicemail. She tried again, same thing. She texted, FBI just left. We need to talk, now. No response. Leora paced, back and forth across the hardwood floor, her mind spinning. Reeves's words looped in her head. If you obtain that evidence illegally, you'll go to prison and Rowan Cade will walk free. She'd been so focused on destroying Rowan that she hadn't thought about the consequences, hadn't thought about what would happen if the evidence didn't hold up. Hadn't thought about... Her phone rang, not the burner. Her regular phone, unknown number. She answered. Hello?
Leora. The voice was male, smooth, familiar. Her blood turned to ice. Rowan, we need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. That's a shame, because I have quite a lot to say to you. Rowan's voice was calm, almost pleasant. You made a mistake today, Leora. A very big mistake. The only mistake I made was marrying you. Cute, but inaccurate. She could hear the smile in his voice. The mistake you made was trusting Lucian Varick. Leora's heart stopped. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Lucien's the one who gave you the files, the evidence, the smoking gun you waved around at your little press conference. How do you Because I know Lucian. Very well, actually. We've done business together for years. The floor dropped out from under her. You're lying.
Am I? Think about it, Leora. How did Lucien get those files? How did he know about my offshore accounts, my shell companies, my transactions? Because he helped me set them up. Leora couldn't breathe. Lucien Varick is a fixer, Rowan continued. He launders money for people like me, cleans up messes, makes problems disappear, and right now you're a problem. Why are you telling me this? Why are? Because I want you to understand something. Everything you think you know, every piece of evidence, every document, every smoking gun, it's all designed to fall apart. Lucien didn't give you real evidence. He gave you bait, and you took it. Leora's knees buckled. She grabbed the edge of the table. The FBI's already sniffing around, Rowan said, and when they trace those files back to their source, they won't find me. They'll find you and Lucien, and a very convenient paper trail showing that you fabricated everything. That's insane. Is it? Or is it genius? Rowan's voice hardened. You wanted to destroy me, Leora, but all you did was destroy yourself. And the best part? I didn't even have to lift a finger. You did it all on your own. The line went dead. Leora stood there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Her mind couldn't process it. Lucien. Working for Rowan? The files? Fake. The press conference. A trap. She pulled out the burner phone. Tried Lucien again. Still nothing. She grabbed her laptop. Opened the files. Started cross-referencing. Looking for proof. For verification. For anything that would prove Rowan was lying. But the more she looked, the more cracks she found. Account numbers that didn't match standard formats. Dates that didn't align with known transactions. Names that sounded real, but led nowhere. Her hand shook as she scrolled through page after page. It couldn't be fake. It couldn't be. She'd staked everything on this. Her reputation, her freedom, her life. Her phone rang. Margaret. Leora answered. Margaret, we have a problem. Margaret's voice was tight. I just got off the phone with one of the reporters from the press conference. He's been fact-checking the documents we provided. The offshore accounts you mentioned, they don't exist. Leora's vision blurred. What? The account numbers are fake, Leora. I verified them myself just now.
They're formatted correctly, but when you actually trace them, they lead to dead ends. Banks that don't exist. Shell companies with no registration. That's not possible. It's very possible. Someone fed you false information, and we broadcast it to the entire world. Leora sank into a chair. Oh, God. Rowan's lawyers have already filed a defamation suit. They're asking for $100 million in damages, and the FBI is opening an investigation into whether you fabricated evidence. I didn't fabricate anything. Then where did you get it? Leora couldn't speak. Leora, where did you get the files? From Lucian Varick. Silence on the other end. Then, the fixer, the criminal, that Lucian Varick. I didn't know it. You didn't know? Margaret's voice rose. You went public with evidence from a known criminal without verifying it? Without checking sources? Without doing any due diligence? I thought it was real. You thought. Leora, this isn't about what you thought. This is about what you can prove. And right now you can't prove anything, which means we're all going down. Margaret, I'm sorry.
Sorry doesn't cut it. You just destroyed any credibility we had. The Phoenix Initiative is finished before it even started, and Jenna and I are going to spend the next 5 years defending ourselves against lawsuits. We can fix this. How? How do we fix this? Margaret's voice cracked. You stood in front of cameras and accused one of the most powerful men in New York of crimes you can't prove, and now he's going to bury you and everyone around you. The line went dead. Leora sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Everything was falling apart. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jenna. We need to talk. Tomorrow. My office. 8 a.m. Don't be late. Leora set the phone down, walked to the window, looked out at the city. A million lights, a million lives, and she was drowning in the middle of it. Her burner phone buzzed. Finally, a text from Lucian. Rooftop. Now. The rooftop was dark. No lights. Just the glow of the city below and the cold wind cutting through concrete. Lucienne stood near the edge, back to her. Leora walked toward him, hands in her coat pockets, fury burning in her chest. You lied to me, she said. Lucienne didn't turn. No. Rowan called. He told me everything. You work for him. You gave me fake evidence. Half true. Leora stepped closer. Which half? I did work for Rowan. Past tense. I helped him build his empire, set up his accounts, clean his money. Lucian turned to face her. But the evidence I gave you, that's real. The FBI says it's not. Margaret says it's not. The account numbers don't trace because Rowan moved them. Lucian's voice was sharp. The second you went public, he started scrambling, closing accounts, burning bridges, erasing the paper trail. That's what he does, Leora. He's a survivor. Then why didn't you warn me? I did. I told you to move fast. You're the one who wanted to wait, wanted to build a perfect case. There's no such thing as a perfect case against a man like Rowan. Leora's hands shook. So what now? The evidence is gone. The FBI thinks I'm a fraud. Rowan's suing me for defamation. And you're nowhere. I'm right here. For how long? Until this blows up in your face too? Lucienne stepped closer. You want the truth? Fine. Yes, I worked for Rowan. Yes, I helped him commit crimes. But I also got out. Because I saw what he really was. A monster. And monsters don't stop until someone stops them. So you used me. I gave you a weapon. What you did with it was your choice. Leora's voice rose. You set me up to fail. No, I set you up to fight. There's a difference. I've lost everything. You've lost nothing you didn't already lose the day you signed those divorce papers. Lucienne's eyes burned. Rowan took your life, your identity, your dignity, and you were ready to crawl away and disappear. I gave you a chance to hit back. By destroying myself in the process? By refusing to be a victim? Leora's chest heaved. Tears burned behind her eyes. I trusted you. You trusted yourself. I was just the excuse. Silence. Wind howled across the rooftop. Leora looked at him, really looked, tried to see past the lies and the manipulation to whatever was underneath. Why? She asked quietly. Why did you really give me those files? Lucian was quiet for a long moment. Then,
Because Rowan killed someone I loved, and I want him to pay. The words landed heavy. Leora stared at him. Who? My sister. Lucien's voice was flat, emotionless. She was one of his business partners. She found out what he was doing, threatened to go to the authorities, and 3 days later, she was dead. Car accident. Very convenient. Leora's blood went cold. You think Rowan? I know Rowan. He doesn't leave loose ends. Then why not go to the police yourself? Because I'm dirty too. I helped him build his empire. If I turn on him, I go down with him. But you? Lucien looked at her. You're clean, or you were. You had a chance to take him down without losing yourself. And now? Now you're in too deep, just like me. Leora shook her head. This is insane. Welcome to my world. I don't want your world. I want my life back. Then you shouldn't have started a war. Leora's hands curled into fists. You're a bastard. Yes, I should turn you in. Tell the FBI everything. Go ahead. Won't change anything. Rowan's already 10 steps ahead. By the time the feds sort through the mess, he'll be untouchable. Then what am I supposed to do? Lucien pulled a flash drive from his pocket, held it out. You fight dirty. Leora stared at it. What's on there? The real evidence. Original documents. Account numbers that haven't been scrubbed yet. Testimony from people who worked for Rowan. People who saw what he did. Why didn't you give me this before? Because you weren't ready. You wanted justice, clean and simple, but there's no such thing when you're dealing with someone like Rowan. You want to beat him? You have to be willing to get your hands dirty. Leora looked at the flash drive, then at Lucien. If I take this, what happens? You become a criminal. Officially. The evidence on here was obtained illegally. If you use it, you're committing a federal crime. So I trade one prison for another. Or you walk away. Right now. Disappear. Start over somewhere Rowan can't find you. Leora's mind raced. Walk away. That's what the old Leora would do. The Leora who signed divorce papers without fighting, who let Rowan erase her. But that Leora was dead. She took the flash drive. Lucien nodded. Good. Now listen carefully. Rowan's planning something. I don't know what yet, but he's moving assets, consolidating power. He knows you're a threat, and he's going to eliminate you, permanently. Meaning what? Meaning you need to disappear, tonight. Go somewhere he can't reach you, somewhere safe. There's nowhere safe. There is. I have a place, off the grid. No one knows about it. You can hide there until we figure out the next move. Leora shook her head. I'm not hiding. Then you're dead. Maybe. But at least I'll die fighting. Lucien grabbed her arm. Don't be stupid. This isn't a movie. Rowan doesn't play fair. If he decides you're a threat, he'll have you killed. And it'll look like an accident, just like my sister. Leora pulled her arm free. Let him try. Leora? I'm done running, done hiding, done being afraid. Her voice was steel. I'm going to finish this with or without you. Lucien stared at her. Then, slowly, he smiled. You're either the bravest person I've ever met, or the stupidest. Probably both. He pulled out a card, handed it to her. Address, safe house. If things go sideways, go there. Don't tell anyone. Don't bring anyone, just go. Leora took the card. What about you? I'll be watching. When the time comes, I'll make my move. And if you don't, then I'm already dead. Lucien turned and walked toward the stairwell, paused at the door. Leora, one more thing. The people Rowan works with, the cartels, the oligarchs, the politicians, they don't just kill threats. They erase them. You go after Rowan, you go after all of them, and they will come for you. Let them. Lucien shook his head. You really are crazy. Then he was gone. Leora stood alone on the rooftop, flash drive in one hand, card in the other. The wind howled, the city glowed, and somewhere below, Rowan Cade was planning her destruction. She looked down at the flash drive. Real evidence, illegal evidence, a weapon that would destroy Rowan, and destroy her in the process. She slipped it into her pocket and walked toward the edge of the roof, looked out at Manhattan, at the towers of glass and steel, at the empire Rowan had built, and made a choice. The next morning, Leora sat in Jenna's office, watching her pace. You're insane, Jenna said for the third time. Completely, utterly insane. Margaret sat in the corner, arms crossed, face like stone. Leora kept her voice calm. It's the only way. The only way to what? Get yourself killed? Get us all arrested? Jenna stopped pacing. You just told us you have illegally obtained evidence. Evidence that was gathered through hacking, bribery, and God knows what else. And you want to use it? Yes. That's a federal crime. I know. You'll go to prison. Maybe. Jenna threw up her hands. Then what's the point? You take down Rowan, you go to prison, he goes to prison. Everyone loses. Not everyone. Leora leaned forward. The women he destroyed. The people he crushed. They win. They get justice. That's not justice. That's revenge. Call it whatever you want. Margaret spoke for the first time. Leora, I understand you're angry. I understand you want Rowan to pay, but this is suicide. Legal suicide. Career suicide. Actual suicide. Then help me do it right. There is no right way to commit a crime. Then help me minimize the damage. Jenna and Margaret looked at each other. If we do this, Jenna said slowly, and that's a massive if, we're all going down, you understand that? Leora nodded. I understand. And you're willing to take that risk? Yes. Silence. Finally, Margaret spoke. What's on the flash drive? Leora pulled it out, set it on the desk. Everything. Bank records, wire transfers, testimony from witnesses, proof that Rowan's been laundering money for cartels and oligarchs for the past 5 years. Jenna picked it up, turned it over in her hands. Where did Lucian get this? I don't know. That's not good enough. It's all I have. Jenna plugged the flash drive into her laptop. Files appeared on the screen. She scrolled through them, eyes moving fast, jaw tightening. After 10 minutes, she looked up. This is real, she said quietly. Margaret leaned over her shoulder. How do you know? Because I recognize some of these transactions. I prosecuted a case 3 years ago involving a shell company in the Caymans. Same structure, same patterns. This is how real money laundering looks. But it's still illegal evidence. Yes. Which means we can't use it in court. Not directly, but we can use it to find legal evidence. We follow the money, find the legitimate transactions, build a parallel case. Leora's heart lifted. So it's possible. It's possible, but it'll take time. Months, maybe years. I don't have years. Then you don't have a case. Leora stood. Find a way, please. Jenna looked at Margaret. Margaret looked at the screen. We'll try, Margaret said finally, but I'm not making any promises. And if this blows up, we all walk away. No martyrs, no last stands. We protect ourselves first. Leora nodded. Agreed. Jenna ejected the flash drive. Handed it back. Keep this somewhere safe, and for God's sake, don't tell anyone else about it. I won't. Leora walked to the door, paused. Thank you, she said quietly. Margaret didn't look at her. Don't thank us yet. Leora left the building and stepped onto the street. The city moved around her, people rushing, cars honking, life continuing like nothing had changed, but everything had changed. She pulled out her phone, checked the news. The press conference was already old news, replaced by newer scandals, fresher outrage. But Rowan's defamation suit was real and growing. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You should have taken the deal. Leora's blood went cold. She looked around. Crowds, faces, no one paying attention to her. Another text. Last chance. Walk away, or we make you disappear. Leora's hands shook. She typed back, Who is this? No response. She waited. 1 minute, 2. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Who is this? Someone who works for people you don't want to meet. The voice was male, flat, emotionless. You've been making a lot of noise, Ms. Vance. Noise that's bad for business. We'd like you to stop. I don't take orders from criminals. That's unfortunate, because we don't make requests. We make examples. The line went dead. Leora stood there, heart pounding, staring at her phone. Then she saw it. Across the street, a black SUV, tinted windows, engine running. The back door opened. A man stepped out, tall, broad, wearing a suit that didn't fit right. He looked directly at her, started walking across the street. Leora's instinct screamed. She turned, started walking, fast. The man followed. She broke into a run. Behind her, footsteps pounded. Getting closer, she ducked into an alley. Trash bins, fire escapes, dead end. She turned. The man stood at the entrance, blocking her exit. He pulled something from his jacket. A gun. Leora's vision tunneled. Nothing personal, the man said. He raised the weapon. A gunshot cracked through the alley. The man dropped. Leora screamed. Another figure appeared behind the fallen body. Tall, dark coat, Lucien Yen. He held a gun in his hand, smoke rising from the barrel. He looked at Leora. We need to go, now. Leora couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Lucien grabbed her arm, pulled her over the body, out of the alley. A car screeched to a stop at the curb. Black sedan, driver already inside. Lucien shoved her into the back seat, climbed in after her. The car took off. Leora stared at Lucien, at the gun still in his hand. You killed him, she whispered. He was going to kill you. You killed him. Yes. Leora's hands shook. Who was he? Hired muscle, probably cartel. Or Russian, doesn't matter. What matters is they know where you are, and they're not going to stop. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe. There is now. Lucien looked at her. But you need to understand something. You just crossed a line. The people hunting you don't care about laws, don't care about evidence. They care about eliminating threats. And right now, you're threat number one. Leora's vision blurred. Tears came hot and fast. I didn't ask for this. Yes, you did. The second you went after Rowan, you asked for all of it. The car sped through the city. Buildings blurred past. Leora looked out the window and realized she'd just become the thing she swore she'd never be. A fugitive. The safe house was in Brooklyn, an old warehouse converted into lofts. Industrial. Anonymous. Lucien led her inside, up 3 flights of stairs, into a space that looked like it hadn't been used in years. You'll be safe here, he said. For now. Leora looked around, bare walls, minimal furniture, windows covered with blackout curtains. A prison. How long? She asked. Until we figure out the next move. And what's the next move? Lucien set his gun on the table. We go dark. No phones. No contact. We wait for Rowan to make a mistake. And if he doesn't, then we make him. Leora sank onto the couch. Her whole body shook. Lucien sat across from her. You did good today, staying calm, not panicking. I ran. That was smart. Fighting would have gotten you killed. Leora looked at him. You killed someone for me. I killed someone who was trying to kill you. There's a difference. Is there? Lucien didn't answer. Silence filled the room. Finally, Leora spoke. What happens now? Now you rest. Tomorrow, we plan. Plan what? How to end this. Once and for all. Leora closed her eyes. She thought about her grandmother, about the trust, about the foundation she'd tried to build. All of it was gone now, replaced by blood and bullets and shadows. She'd wanted justice. Instead, she'd started a war. And somewhere in the city, Rowan Cade was smiling, because he'd already won. That night, Leora lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept replaying the moment in the alley, the man raising his gun, the sound of the shot, the body dropping. She'd almost died, and Lucien had saved her. Or had he? She sat up, looked around the room. Lucien was gone, probably on the roof, watching, planning. Leora pulled out the flash drive, turned it over in her hands. Real evidence, illegal evidence, a weapon she couldn't use without destroying herself. She thought about what Jenna had said. Build a parallel case, follow the money. But that would take months, and she didn't have months. Rowan was moving, consolidating, erasing. By the time she had a legal case, there'd be nothing left to prove. She needed leverage, something immediate, something undeniable. She needed, her eyes widened, a witness, not documents, not files, a person, Someone who worked for Rowan, someone who saw the crimes firsthand, someone who could testify. Leora stood, paced. Who would testify against Rowan Cade? No one. Not willingly. Unless they had no choice. Her mind raced through the files, through the names, through the people connected to Rowan's empire, and stopped on one. Viktor Sokolov, Russian oligarch, Rowan's biggest client. If she could get to Viktor, get him to talk, get him to flip. But how? Viktor was untouchable, protected by layers of security, by governments, by money. Unless. Leora grabbed her laptop, opened the files, searched for Viktor's name, found a document, an email chain between Rowan and Viktor, discussing a shipment, moving assets, through a port in New Jersey. In 3 days. Leora's heart pounded. If she could intercept that shipment, get proof of the illegal transaction, she could force Viktor to testify, or go down with Rowan. She looked at the address on Lucian's card, then at the laptop screen. This was insane. This was suicide. This was her only chance. She grabbed her coat and walked out the door. Geet. The night air hit Leora like a slap. She stood on the Brooklyn street, coat pulled tight, watching shadows move between streetlights. Every car that passed made her flinch. Every footstep behind her sounded like a threat. She pulled out her phone. Regular phone, not the burner, dialed Margaret. 3 rings. 4. Leora? Margaret's voice was thick with sleep. It's 2 a.m. I need you to do something for me. And I need you not to ask questions. Silence. Then, what happened? Someone tried to kill me tonight. What? Hired gun. Lucian shot him. We're in hiding now, but I need information. Leora, you need to go to the police. The police can't help me. Rowan owns half of them. Leora's voice was steady, cold. I need you to pull everything you can find on Viktor Sokolov, Russian oligarch, one of Rowan's biggest clients, financial records, properties, security details, everything. Why? Because I'm going after him. That's insane. I know. Do it anyway. Margaret was quiet for a long moment. When do you need it? Tomorrow, by noon. That's impossible. Make it possible, please. Another pause, then, where are you? I can't tell you that. Leora, the less you know, the safer you are. Just get me the information. Send it to my email. Encrypted. This is a bad idea. I know. You're going to get yourself killed. Probably. Then why? Because if I don't, Rowan wins, and I'd rather die fighting than live as his victim. Silence. Then Margaret's voice, softer now. Be careful. I will. Leora hung up. She stood there, phone in hand, staring at the dark street. Behind her, a door opened. Lucien. Where are you going? He asked. Leora turned. To finish this. Finish what? Viktor Sokolov, Russian oligarch. He's moving a shipment through a port in New Jersey in 3 days. I'm going to intercept it. Lucian's face went hard. No, you're not. Yes, I am. That's suicide. Viktor has security. Real security. Ex-military. They'll kill you on sight. Then help me. I can't help you commit suicide. Leora stepped closer. You said you wanted Rowan gone. Well, this is how we do it. We get Viktor. We flip him. We make him testify against Rowan. Viktor will never testify. He's protected by the Russian government, by oligarchs who make Rowan look like a street dealer. If you go after him, you're not just fighting Rowan anymore. You're fighting people who disappear entire families. I don't care. You should. Why? What do I have left to lose? Leora's voice rose. My reputation's destroyed. My foundation's dead. I'm a fugitive hiding in a warehouse. The only thing I have left is this, one chance to make Rowan pay. Lucienne grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. You go after Viktor. You don't come back. You understand? This isn't like the press conference. This isn't lawyers and reporters. This is bullets and bodies, and you're not ready for that. Leora pulled free. Then make me ready. I can't. You killed someone for me tonight. You saved my life. Now help me finish this. Lucian stared at her, long, hard. Finally, he stepped back. You're insane. I know. This is going to get us both killed, probably. Lucien ran his hand through his hair. 3 days. Yes. That's not enough time. It's all we have. Lucien looked at the sky, at the city lights bleeding into darkness. Okay, he said quietly. We do this. But we do it smart. We plan every detail. We have exit strategies. And the second things go sideways, we run. Understood? Leora nodded. Understood. And you do exactly what I say. No improvising. No heroics. You follow orders or we're both dead. Agreed. Lucien pulled out his phone, started typing. I know someone who can help. Ex-Mossad. Works freelance now. If anyone can get us inside Victor's operation, it's him. Can we trust him? No, but we can pay him, and money's the only loyalty that matters in this world. Leora followed Lucien back into the warehouse and realized she'd just committed to something she couldn't take back. Book. By dawn, the warehouse looked like a war room. Maps spread across the table, blueprints of the New Jersey port, satellite images, security protocols. Lucien's contact, a man who introduced himself only as Yael, sat across from them, eyes like flint. Victor's shipment arrives at 0200 hours on Thursday, Yael said, his accent thick, Israeli maybe. Container ship, 40-foot cargo. Listed as agricultural equipment, actually weapons and cash, maybe 50 million worth. Leora leaned forward. How do you know? Because I helped set up the route 6 months ago. Yael's face was expressionless. Victor pays well, but Lucien pays better. Lucien spread a blueprint across the table. Security? 12 men, minimum, armed, ex-military, Russian mostly, some Chechen, they know what they're doing. Weaknesses? They're overconfident. Victor's shipments haven't been hit in 5 years. They're expecting a routine pickup. So we hit them when they're not looking. Yael shook his head. You hit them, they shoot back, and they don't miss. Then we don't give them a chance to shoot. Leora looked at the blueprint. What about witnesses? Port security? Cameras? Victor owns the port master. Cameras will be offline during the pickup. No witnesses, just his men and the cargo. And after they load the cargo, they transport it to a warehouse in Newark. Victor's people take delivery there. Leora's mind raced. So we hit them at the warehouse, after they've loaded the cargo, before Victor's people arrive. Yael raised an eyebrow. You want to steal from Viktor Sokolov? I want proof. Evidence. Something that ties him to Rowan. You'll find it in the cargo, financial records, communication logs. Victor keeps everything on encrypted drives. Insurance in case Rowan ever turns on him. Lucien looked at Leora. This is your last chance to walk away. Leora met his eyes. I'm not walking away. Then we need a team, at least 4 people. 6 would be better. I can get you 3, Yael said. Good people. Professionals? They'll cost you. How much? $500,000? Each. Leora's stomach dropped. I don't have that kind of money. Yes, you do. Lucien looked at her. Your grandmother's trust. You have 12 million. Use it. That money's for the foundation. The foundation's dead? You said so yourself. Use the money or lose everything. Leora's hand shook. She thought about her grandmother, about the Phoenix Initiative, about all the women she'd wanted to help. Then she thought about Rowan, about his cold eyes, about the way he'd erased her. Do it, she said quietly. Yael nodded. I'll make the calls. Mambat. The next 48 hours were a blur. Leora barely slept, barely ate. She studied the blueprints until her eyes burned, memorized security protocols, learned how to handle a gun under Lucien's brutal instruction. You hold it like this, he said, adjusting her grip. 2 hands, firm but not tight. You're not strangling it, you're controlling it. They stood in the warehouse basement, concrete walls, makeshift shooting range. Leora aimed at the target, fired. The recoil jolted through her arms. The bullet hit wide, 3 feet off center. Again, Lucien said. She fired, missed. Again. Fired, closer this time. Again. By the 100th shot, her hands were steady, her breathing controlled.
The bullets clustered near the center. Better, Lucian said, but in a real fight, you won't have time to aim. You point and shoot. Instinct, not thought. How do I train instinct? You don't. You survive enough fights, instinct comes on its own. Leora lowered the gun. How many fights have you survived? Lucian's face darkened. Too many. That night, Margaret's email arrived. Leora opened it. Pages of information on Viktor Sokolov, bank accounts, properties in Moscow, London, Miami, known associates, criminal connections, and buried in the files, photographs. Viktor with Rowan, at a restaurant in Manhattan, at a private airport, shaking hands, smiling, evidence of their partnership. Leora forwarded everything to Lucien. Her phone rang. Margaret. Did you get it? Margaret asked. Yes. Thank you. Leora, I also found something else. Something you need to know. Leora's chest tightened. What? Rowan filed a motion yesterday. He's trying to freeze your assets, your grandmother's trust, the penthouse, everything. He claims you're using the money to fund illegal activities. Can he do that? If a judge agrees, yes. There's a hearing scheduled for Friday. Friday? That's 2 days after... Leora stopped herself. 2 days after what? Nothing. Can you fight it? I can try, but if Rowan's lawyers present evidence that you're involved in criminal activity, and given what happened at the press conference, they have a case, the judge might side with them. Leora closed her eyes. Do what you can. Where are you, Leora? Really? I can't tell you. Are you safe? No. Silence. Be careful, Margaret said quietly. Whatever you're planning, be careful. I will. Leora hung up. She sat there, staring at the phone. 2 days. 2 days to pull off the impossible, or lose everything. Thursday. 01:30 hours. Leora sat in the back of a black van, wearing tactical gear that felt too heavy, holding a gun that felt too light. Beside her, Lucien, Yael, and 3 men whose names she didn't know and wouldn't remember. They looked like killers. Because they were. The van rolled through the New Jersey industrial district. Warehouses, shipping containers, darkness broken only by scattered floodlights. 5 minutes, Yael said from the driver's seat. Leora's heart hammered. Her palms were slick with sweat. She wiped them on her pants. Lucien leaned close. You remember the plan? Stay behind you. Don't shoot unless I have to. Get to the cargo container. Find the encrypted drives. And if things go wrong, run for the extraction point. Don't look back. Good. Lucien checked his weapon. And Leora? Yeah? If I tell you to run, you run. You don't argue. You don't hesitate. You just go. Leora nodded. The van stopped. Yael killed the engine. We're here. They climbed out into the cold night. The warehouse loomed ahead. Corrugated metal. No windows. One loading dock door half open, light spilling out. Yael pulled out a tablet, showed thermal imaging of the building, 12 heat signatures inside, clustered near the back. Viktor's men, he whispered. Loading the cargo now. We move fast. We move quiet. In and out in 5 minutes. One of the nameless men, tall, scarred, Russian accent, spoke. And if they resist? Yael's face was stone. Then we don't leave witnesses. Leora's stomach turned. They moved toward the warehouse in formation, Yael leading, Lucien beside him. The 3 hired guns fanned out, Leora in the middle, protected. They reached the loading dock. Inside, voices in Russian, laughter, the beep of a forklift. Yael raised his hand, silent countdown. 3, 2, 1. They moved. The world exploded into chaos. Yael and Lucien went through the door first, weapons up, shouting commands in Russian. Viktor's men spun, reached for their guns. Gunfire erupted. Leora dropped behind a stack of crates, hands over her ears, heart trying to punch through her ribs. Bullets tore through metal. Sparks flew. Men screamed. Leora, move! Lucien's voice cut through the noise. She ran, kept her head down, followed Lucien deeper into the warehouse. More gunfire. Behind her. Ahead of her. One of Viktor's men stepped into her path, raised his weapon. Leora didn't think. She raised her gun, fired. The man dropped. Leora stared,
Her hand shook violently. Lucian grabbed her arm. Keep moving! They reached the cargo container. Doors open. Inside, wooden crates, weapons, cash in plastic-wrapped bundles, and in the corner, a steel case. Lucian grabbed it. This is it. Go! They turned to run. A man blocked the exit. Massive, bald, holding a shotgun. He fired. The blast hit Lucian in the shoulder. He spun. Fell. Leora screamed. The man racked another shell. Leora raised her gun, fired 3 times. The man collapsed. She dropped to Lucian's side. Blood spread across his jacket. His face was pale. I'm okay, he gasped. Get the case. Run. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. He shoved the steel case into her hands. Go! Footsteps pounded behind them. Leora looked up. More of Victor's men, running toward them. Yael appeared, fired a burst. The men scattered. Move! He shouted at Leora. She grabbed Lucian's arm, hauled him up. He was heavy, bleeding, but moving. They ran, out of the warehouse, into the night, sirens wailing in the distance. The van screeched to a stop ahead, doors open. They threw themselves inside. The van took off before the doors even closed. Leora pressed her hands against Lucien's wound. Blood poured between her fingers. Hospital, she gasped. He needs a hospital. No hospitals, Lucian wheezed. They'll report the gunshot. Police will come. Yael tossed a first aid kit back. Stop the bleeding. Keep him conscious. Leora's hands shook as she tore open the kit. Gauze, bandages, medical tape. She'd never done this before. She pressed gauze against the wound. Lucian hissed through his teeth. Sorry. Just do it. She wrapped the bandage tight. Too tight, maybe. But the bleeding slowed. Lucien's eyes stayed open, focused on her. You did good, he whispered. I shot someone. You saved us. Leora's vision blurred. I killed him. He would have killed you. She looked at her hands, covered in blood. Lucien's blood. Someone else's blood. She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Lucien grabbed her wrist. Hey, look at me. She met his eyes. You're alive, he said. That's what matters. You're alive. The van raced through the night. Behind them, the warehouse burned. They made it back to Brooklyn as dawn broke. Lucien could barely walk. Leora and Yael half carried him up the stairs, into the warehouse, onto the couch. Yael pulled out a phone. I know a doctor. Off the books. He'll be here in an hour. Will he talk? Leora asked. Not if he wants to keep breathing. Yael stepped outside to make the call. Leora sat beside Lucien, changed his bandages. The bleeding had stopped, but the wound was ugly, dark, deep. You need real medical attention, she said. I'll live. You don't know that. I've had worse. Leora looked at him, at the scars on his arms, on his neck, evidence of a life spent in violence. Why do you do this? She asked quietly. Do what? Fight, kill, risk everything. Lucian was quiet for a long moment. Because someone has to. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Leora looked away. I killed someone tonight. I know. I didn't think about it. I just shot him. That's how it works. Think too long, you die. Does it get easier? Lucian's eyes darkened. No, it gets harder every time. Silence. Leora pulled the steel case from her bag, set it on the table. Was it worth it? She asked. Lucian looked at the case. Open it. Leora popped the latches. Inside, 3 encrypted hard drives. Stacks of documents, USB drives. She picked up one of the documents, started reading. Her eyes widened. Bank transfers. Hundreds of them. Between Victor and Rowan, dating back 5 years. Proof. Real, undeniable proof. Yes, Lucian said quietly. It was worth it. Hashem. The doctor arrived an hour later. Old, Russian, didn't ask questions. He stitched Lucien's scene up, left antibiotics and painkillers, disappeared without a word. Leora sat at the table going through the files, financial records, emails, communication logs, everything. Victor and Rowan had been running money for cartels, for Russian oligarchs, for terrorist organizations, millions of dollars,
laundered through shell companies, hidden in offshore accounts. And it was all here. Leora's hands shook as she copied everything onto a clean drive. This was it. This was the weapon that would destroy Rowan. Her phone rang. Margaret. Leora, where are you? I can't. There was a shootout at a warehouse in New Jersey last night. 4 dead. Police are looking for suspects. Please tell me that wasn't you. Leora's throat closed. Leora, please. I can't talk right now. The hearing is tomorrow. If you don't show up, Rowan wins. He gets everything. The trust, the foundation, all of it. I'll be there. Will you? Because right now it sounds like you're running from a crime scene. I said I'll be there. Silence. What did you do, Leora? What I had to. Leora hung up. She looked at Lucien, still on the couch, eyes closed, breathing shallow, then at the files, then at her hands, still stained with blood. She'd crossed so many lines she couldn't see the way back, but she had the evidence, she had the weapon. Now she just had to use it. Friday morning, 900 hours. Leora stood outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, wearing a black suit she'd bought from a thrift store, carrying a leather bag that held the encrypted drive. Margaret was waiting for her on the steps. You look terrible, Margaret said. I feel worse. What happened to your hands? Leora looked down. Small cuts, bruises. She'd scrubbed the blood away, but the damage remained. I fell. Liar. Leora met her eyes. Do you really want to know? Margaret was quiet. Then, no, probably not. They walked into the courthouse together. The hearing room was small, cold. Rowan sat at the plaintiff's table with 3 lawyers. He looked calm, confident. He glanced at Leora, smiled. That smile said everything. He thought he'd already won. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Be seated, the judge said. Middle-aged, female, stern face. Rowan's lead lawyer stood. Your Honor, we're here to request an emergency freeze of assets belonging to Ms. Leora Vance. We have evidence that she's using funds from her grandmother's trust to finance illegal activities, including the dissemination of false and defamatory information against my client. The judge looked at Leora. Ms. Vance, do you have representation? Margaret stood. I'm her attorney, Your Honor. Margaret Chen. Proceed. Rowan's lawyer pulled out documents, spread them across the table. Ms. Vance held a press conference 2 weeks ago in which she made numerous false allegations against Mr. Cade. Since then, she's refused to retract those statements. We have reason to believe she's using her financial resources to continue this harassment campaign. The judge frowned. Ms. Chen, how do you respond? Margaret stood. Your Honor, Ms. Vance has every right to use her own money as she sees fit. The trust was established by her grandmother specifically to protect her from financial abuse. Freezing those assets would defeat the entire purpose of the trust. But if she's using the money for illegal purposes, she's not. Can you prove that? Margaret hesitated. Leora stood. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. Leora pulled the encrypted drive from her bag. Everything I said at that press conference was true. Rowan Cade is a criminal, and I can prove it. Rowan's face went white. His lawyer jumped up. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. I have financial records, Leora continued. Bank transfers, communication logs, proof that Rowan has been laundering money for criminal organizations for the past 5 years. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged her gavel. Order! Rowan leaned toward his lawyer, whispered something harsh. The lawyer stood. Your Honor, we request an immediate recess. Denied. The judge looked at Leora. Ms. Vance, you're making serious allegations. Do you have this evidence with you? Leora held up the drive. Right here. Approach the bench. Leora walked forward, handed the drive to the judge. The judge plugged it into her computer. Her eyes scanned the screen. Her expression didn't change, but her jaw tightened. After 5 minutes, she looked up. This hearing is postponed. Ms. Vance, you need to take this evidence to the FBI. Immediately. I plan to, Your Honor. The judge looked at Rowan. Mr. Cade, you're advised not to leave the state. Rowan stood. His face was stone. This is a setup. Those files are fake. That's for the FBI to determine. The judge banged her gavel. We're adjourned.
Rowan's eyes locked on Leora. Pure hatred. He walked out of the courtroom surrounded by his lawyers. Leora stood there, drive back in her bag, hands shaking. Margaret grabbed her arm. What the hell was that? That was me winning. That was you signing your own death warrant. You just publicly humiliated Rowan Cade in front of a judge. He's going to come after you with everything he has. Let him. Leora, see out. I'm done running, Margaret. I'm done hiding. I have the evidence. I have the proof. And I'm going to end him. Margaret stared at her. You've changed. Yes. I'm not sure it's for the better. Leora walked toward the exit. Outside, the sun was too bright, the air too cold. She pulled out her phone, called the number on Agent Reeves's card. He answered on the first ring. Miss Vance? I have something for you. Evidence against Rowan Cade, real evidence. Meet me in 1 hour. Where? Bryant Park, same bench where this all started. She hung up, looked up at the sky. This was it, the final move. She was either about to destroy Rowan Cade or get herself killed trying. Bryant Park was crowded. Tourists, office workers, people living their lives, unaware that a war was ending in their midst. Leora sat on the bench, north end, by the fountain, waiting. Agent Reeves appeared 10 minutes later, alone this time. He sat beside her. You said you have evidence. Leora pulled out the drive. Everything. Bank records, wire transfers, communications between Rowan and Victor Sokolov, proof of money laundering, racketeering, fraud. Reeves took the drive. Where did you get this? Does it matter? It matters if it's admissible in court. Then make it admissible. Reeves looked at her. Did you break any laws obtaining this? Leora met his eyes. Yes. Which ones? Do you want Rowan Cade or not? Reeves was quiet. Then he pocketed the drive. I'll have my team verify this. If it checks out, we'll move forward with an investigation. How long? Weeks, maybe months. We need to build a case. You don't have months. Rowan knows I have this. He's going to run, or he's going to make the evidence disappear. You need to move now. I can't arrest someone without probable cause. You have probable cause. It's on that drive. Reeves stood. Stay out of trouble, Ms. Vance. Let us handle this. Will you? Or will you let him slip away because you're too worried about procedure? Reeves looked at her. You're not a cop. You're not a vigilante. You're a civilian who's in way over her head. Go home. Stay there. And let the professionals do their job. He walked away. Leora sat on the bench, alone, staring at the fountain. She'd just handed over everything, all the evidence, all the proof, her last weapon. Now she had nothing, except the certainty that Rowan wouldn't let this stand. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You made a mistake. Leora's blood went cold. Another text. You should have stayed hidden. She looked around. Crowds, faces, no one paying attention. Another text. Look up. Leora's eyes lifted. Across the park. Standing by the fountain, Rowan Cade, staring directly at her. He raised his phone, typed something. Leora's phone buzzed. This ends tonight. Rowan turned and walked away. Disappeared into the crowd. Leora sat there, heart hammering, mind racing. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. Bim. That night, Leora sat in the warehouse, gun on the table, waiting. Lucien was asleep on the couch. Still healing, still weak. Yael and his men were gone. Paid, disappeared. She was alone. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. What do you want, Rowan? To offer you a deal. I'm not interested. You will be. Because I'm going to make this very simple. You have two choices. Walk away, disappear. I'll drop the lawsuits. I'll leave you alone. You get to live. Or you keep fighting, and I destroy you. Not just your reputation, not just your money. You. I'll make sure you disappear permanently, just like everyone else who's ever threatened me. Leora's grip tightened on the phone. You're afraid. Rowan laughed. Afraid? Of you? You're nothing, Leora. You've always been nothing. Then why are you offering me a deal? Silence. Because I'm tired of this game, Rowan said finally. You've been a mosquito, annoying, persistent, but ultimately insignificant. I'm giving you a chance to live. Take it.
And if I don't, then what happened in New Jersey will look like a warning shot. The line went dead. Leora set the phone down, looked at the gun, at the empty warehouse, at the city lights bleeding through the windows. Rowan had just confirmed what she already knew. This was war, and only one of them would survive. She picked up the gun, checked the clip, and waited for the fight to come to her. Mki. The warehouse was too quiet. Leora sat in the darkness, gun in her lap, listening to Lucien's shallow breathing from the couch. Every creak of the building made her flinch. Every distant siren sent her heart into her throat. She checked her phone. 11:47 p.m. Rowan's deadline was midnight, 13 minutes. Her hands were steady now. That surprised her. 2 weeks ago, she would have been shaking, crying. But something had changed in the warehouse in New Jersey. When she'd pulled the trigger, when she'd watched a man fall, she'd crossed a line, and there was no going back. At 11:52, her phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. FBI just raided Rowan's office. It's happening. Leora stared at the screen. It was happening. Reeves had moved faster than she'd expected. Maybe he'd seen something in those files that demanded immediate action. Maybe he'd finally grown a spine. Either way, Rowan's empire was crumbling. But Rowan himself? He was still out there. And he was coming. Leora stood, walked to the window, looked out at the Brooklyn street below. Empty. Dark. Too dark. The streetlight across the road was out. It had been working an hour ago. Her blood went cold. She grabbed her phone, dialed Lucien's burner. No answer. She looked back at the couch. Lucien wasn't there. The blanket was thrown aside. The couch empty. "Lucien?" she called out. No response. Leora raised the gun, moved through the warehouse, checking corners, checking shadows. Nothing. She reached the bathroom, door ajar, pushed it open. Empty. A noise behind her. She spun. Lucien stood in the doorway, fully dressed, jacket on, gun in hand. "What are you doing?" Leora asked. "Leaving." "What?" Lucien wouldn't meet her eyes. "You gave the evidence to the FBI. They're moving on Rowan. My part's done. I'm out." Leora's chest tightened. "You're running. I'm surviving. There's a difference. Rowan's coming here. I know, which is why you need to leave too. I'm not running. Then you're dead." Lucien's voice was flat, hard. "Rowan doesn't bluff. He said midnight. He meant midnight. You stay here. He kills you. Simple as that." "So we fight him together?" "No." Lucien stepped closer. "I'm not dying for your vendetta, Leora. I helped you because it served my interests. But now? The FBI has the evidence. Rowan's going down. My sister gets justice. I'm done." Leora stared at him. "You're a coward." "I'm a realist." Lucien moved toward the door. "There's a difference between courage and stupidity. You haven't figured that out yet." "Don't do this." "I already did." He walked out. The door closed behind him. Leora stood there, alone in the warehouse, gun in hand, staring at the empty doorway. She'd been abandoned before. By Rowan. By her mother, who died when Leora was 12. By every friend who'd vanished after the divorce. But this felt different. This felt like betrayal. Her phone buzzed. Midnight. A text from unknown. Last chance. Walk out the front door. Hands up. Lev. Leora looked at the gun in her hand, then at the front door. She could leave. Right now. Walk out with her hands up. Let Rowan think he'd won. But he hadn't won. The FBI had the evidence. They were moving. Rowan's empire was falling. She just had to survive long enough to see it. Leora moved to the back of the warehouse, found the fire escape, rusted metal stairs leading down to the alley. She climbed out, started descending. Halfway down, she heard it. Footsteps below. She froze. A figure stepped into the alley, looked up. Not Rowan. One of his men, tall, armed. He raised his weapon. Leora didn't think. She jumped, fell 10 feet, hit the ground hard. Pain shot through her ankle. The man fired. The bullet sparked off metal above her head. Leora rolled, came up firing. Her shots went wide. The man advanced. Leora scrambled backward. Her ankle screamed. She couldn't run. The man aimed.
A gunshot cracked through the alley. The man dropped. Leora spun. Lucien stood at the mouth of the alley, gun raised, smoke curling from the barrel. He lowered the weapon. "You're welcome." Leora stared at him. "I thought you left." "I did. Made it 2 blocks. Then I remembered something my sister used to say." Lucien walked toward her. "She said the only thing worse than dying for something you believe in is living knowing you ran when it mattered." He extended his hand. Leora took it. Let him pull her up. "Your ankle?" he asked. "Twisted. I can walk." "Can you fight?" "Do I have a choice?" "No." More footsteps. From both ends of the alley, Leora and Lucien pressed their backs together. "How many?" Leora whispered. "Too many." Men appeared. 4, 6, 8, all armed, all moving in. Lucien raised his gun. "On 3, we run for the street. Stay low. Don't stop." "We'll never make it." "We will." 1, 2. Sirens wailed in the distance. The men stopped, looked at each other. The sirens got louder, closer. Red and blue lights flickered at the end of the alley. "FBI, drop your weapons." The men scattered, running, disappearing into shadows. Leora and Lucien stood there, breathing hard, as federal agents swarmed the alley. Agent Reeves appeared, gun drawn, face grim. "Ms. Vance, Mr. Varick, on the ground. Now." Leora raised her hands. "We're the victims here. You're armed suspects at a crime scene. On the ground or I arrest you both." Lucien dropped to his knees. Leora followed. Agents moved in, took their weapons, cuffed them. Reeves stood over Leora. "Where's Rowan Cade?" "I don't know. Don't lie to me. He sent these men. Where is he?" "I told you. I don't know." Reeves pulled her to her feet. "We raided his office 2 hours ago. He wasn't there. We have warrants for 6 of his properties. He's not at any of them. He's in the wind." Leora's stomach dropped. "What about the evidence? The files I gave you?" "They're real. We verified everything. Rowan's accounts are frozen. His assets are seized. But the man himself? Gone." "Then find him. We're trying. But men like Rowan don't run unless they have an exit strategy. Private planes, fake passports, offshore accounts we don't know about yet. He could be anywhere." Leora's mind raced. "He's not running." "What?" "Rowan doesn't run. He eliminates threats. He was here, tonight. He sent these men to kill me." "So where is he now?" Leora closed her eyes. Thought. Rowan was methodical, precise. He wouldn't send men to do something he could do himself unless he was somewhere more important. Her eyes snapped open. "The penthouse. My penthouse. The one my grandmother left me." Reeves frowned. "Why would he go there?" "Because it's the only thing I have left that he can take. He's going to destroy it, burn it, erase the last piece of my grandmother's legacy." "That's a hell of a theory." "It's not a theory. It's Rowan." Leora looked at him. "He doesn't just want to win. He wants me to know I lost everything. That's who he is." Reeves stared at her, then pulled out his radio. "All units, converge on..." He looked at Leora. "Address?" "West 72nd and Central Park West. The Majestic, top floor." Reeves relayed the information. "Let's move." "What?" The Majestic rose into the Manhattan sky like a monument. Leora sat in the back of Reeves's SUV, hands still cuffed, watching agents swarm the building. Lucien sat beside her, silent, watching. "You think he's really in there?" Lucien asked quietly. "I know he is." "How?" "Because he wants me to see it. He wants me to watch him destroy the one thing I thought was safe." The radio crackled. "We're in the lobby. Building security says no one's accessed the penthouse in 3 days." Reeves grabbed the radio. "Check the security footage." A pause. Then, "Sir, someone disabled the cameras on the top 3 floors. 30 minutes ago." Reeves looked at Leora. "He's there." "I told you." Reeves turned to the driver. "Get us up there. Now." The SUV pulled into the underground garage. They took the service elevator. 12 agents, weapons drawn. Leora and Lucien still cuffed. The elevator climbed.
10th floor, 20th, 30th. At the 40th floor, it stopped. The doors opened onto a hallway thick with smoke. "Fire!" someone shouted. Agents poured out, moving toward the penthouse, Leora's penthouse. The door was open. Flames licked the walls inside. Smoke billowed out. Reeves grabbed Leora's arm. "Stay here. That's my home. Stay. Here." Agents went in. Leora heard shouting, movement, then a gunshot, more shouting. An agent stumbled out, clutching his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. "He's inside! Armed!" Reeves pulled his weapon, looked at Leora. "Who else is in there?" "No one. It's just Rowan." "You sure?" "Yes." Reeves moved toward the door, stopped, looked back at Leora. "You want this to end?" he asked. Leora met his eyes. "More than anything." Reeves unlocked her cuffs. "Then help me end it." He handed her a radio. "You know this place better than anyone. Tell me the layout." Leora rubbed her wrists, took the radio. Living room, kitchen to the right, hallway straight ahead leads to 3 bedrooms. Master at the end. Windows? Floor to ceiling, all sides. Exits? Front door, fire escape off the master bedroom. Reeves nodded, spoke into his radio. 2 teams, Alpha through the front. Bravo to the fire escape. No one leaves this building. He looked at Leora. "You stay here, understand?" Leora nodded. Reeves moved into the smoke. Leora stood in the hallway, heart pounding, watching flames consume her grandmother's legacy. Everything. Burning. Lucien appeared beside her, somehow uncuffed, somehow armed again. "How did you—" Picked the lock. Took a gun off an agent who wasn't paying attention. He looked at the flames. "You're not staying here." Reeves said, "I don't care what Reeves said. That's your home. And Rowan's in there destroying it. You've come too far to watch from the hallway." Leora looked at him. "If we go in there, they'll arrest us." "Probably." "We could die." "Definitely." Leora looked at the flames, at the smoke, at the doorway to everything she'd tried to build. "Let's go." They moved into the penthouse. Heat hit like a wall. Smoke choked the air. Leora pulled her shirt over her mouth, stayed low. Ahead she heard voices. Reeves shouting, someone else responding. Rowan. She moved toward the sound, through the living room, past burning furniture, past shelves collapsing, into the hallway. Reeves stood at the end, gun raised, shouting into the master bedroom. "Rowan Cade, come out with your hands up." No response. "We have the building surrounded. There's no way out." Still nothing. Leora moved closer, Lucienne beside her. Reeves saw them. "I told you to stay." A gunshot from the bedroom. Everyone dropped. The bullet hit the wall above Reeves's head. "Next one won't miss," Rowan's voice. Calm, cold. Reeves spoke into his radio. "Bravo team, status?" Static. Then, "Fire escape's blocked. Flames everywhere. We can't get in." Reeves cursed. Leora stepped forward. "Let me talk to him." "Absolutely not. He wants me. Let me end this." "You're a civilian." "I'm the only one he'll listen to." Reeves stared at her. "If you go in there, you're on your own. I can't protect you." "I don't need protection. I need closure." Leora walked toward the bedroom before Reeves could stop her. She stood in the doorway. The master bedroom was an inferno. Flames climbed the curtains, ate the walls. The heat was unbearable. And in the center, standing by the window, was Rowan. He held a gun in one hand, a gasoline can in the other. He looked at Leora, smiled. "I knew you'd come," he said. Leora stepped inside. "It's over, Rowan." "Is it?" "The FBI has everything. Your accounts are frozen. Your empire's gone. You have nothing left." "Neither do you." Rowan gestured to the burning room. "This was your sanctuary, your safe place, your grandmother's gift. And now it's ash." "It's just a place." "Is it? Or is it the last piece of who you used to be?" Rowan's eyes gleamed. "I took everything from you, Leora. Your home, your money, your dignity, and now this. What's left?" Leora met his gaze. "Me. You!" Rowan laughed. "You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A decoration, a prop. You think you won because you gave some files to the FBI?"
You didn't win. You destroyed yourself. You're a fugitive, a killer. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Maybe, but you'll spend the rest of yours in a cage. Rowan's smile faded. You think they'll catch me? I have resources you can't imagine, contacts, escape routes. By tomorrow, I'll be on a beach somewhere they don't have extradition. And you? You'll be here. Alone. Just like you've always been. Leora took a step closer. You're afraid. Of what? Of being nothing, just like me. You built an empire to prove you mattered, but it was all a lie, and now everyone knows it. Rowan's face twisted. You don't know anything about me. I know you're empty. I know you destroy people because you can't create anything real. I know you're terrified that without your money, without your power, you're just a small, cruel man who no one will remember. Rowan raised the gun, aimed it at her. Get out! Leora didn't move. Shoot me. Prove me right. Prove you're exactly what I said. A coward who hides behind violence. I said get out! No. Rowan's hand shook. Behind Leora, agents moved into position, weapons raised. Red dots appeared on Rowan's chest. Rowan saw them. His eyes darted, looking for an exit. There wasn't one. He lowered the gun, not dropping it, just lowering it. You really think you've won? He asked quietly. I think I survived. That's enough. Is it? Yes. Rowan looked out the window, at the city below, at the empire he'd built. I gave you everything, he said. A home, a life, status. And you threw it away. You gave me nothing. You took everything. Because you were weak. No, because you were afraid I'd become strong. Rowan turned to face her. You'll never be strong. You'll always be that scared little girl who signed those divorce papers without fighting back. Leora stepped closer. You're right. I was that girl. But she's dead. You killed her. And the person standing here now, she's not afraid of you anymore. Rowan's jaw tightened. Behind him, flames consumed the bedroom. The ceiling groaned, starting to collapse. It's over, Rowan, Leora said. Put down the gun. For a moment, Rowan just stood there, gun in hand, fire at his back, a man with no way out. Then he smiled. You want to know the truth, Leora? I never loved you. You were a transaction, a useful prop. And when you stopped being useful, I discarded you, just like I've discarded everyone else. I know. And you stayed anyway, for 8 years. You smiled at my parties, wore the dresses I bought, pretended to be happy. You were pathetic. Yes, I was. Rowan's smile widened. At least you're honest now. He raised the gun, not at Leora, at himself. Rowan, don't! The gunshot was deafening. Rowan fell. The ceiling collapsed. Agents rushed forward, pulled Leora back, out of the bedroom, into the hallway. She fought them. Rowan! But the bedroom was an inferno. The ceiling caved in completely. Flames roared. There was no way anyone was alive in there. Reeves pulled her farther back. We need to evacuate. Now! Leora stared at the flames. Rowan was gone. Dead. By his own hand. She'd wanted him to pay. Wanted him to rot in prison. Wanted him to feel every second of his own destruction. Instead, he'd taken the easy way out. And somehow, that felt like he'd won. But outside, dawn was breaking. Leora sat on the curb across from the Majestic, wrapped in a blanket, watching firefighters battle the blaze. The penthouse was gone. Everything in it. Her grandmother's furniture, the books, the legacy. Ash. Lucian sat beside her, silent. Paramedics had checked them both. Minor smoke inhalation. Burns. Nothing serious. They'd live. Reeves approached, sat down on Leora's other side. We found a body in the master bedroom, he said quietly. Dental records will confirm, but it's almost certainly Rowan Cade. Leora nodded, didn't speak. We also found evidence in his office. Financial records that corroborate everything you gave us. Viktor Sokolov's already cooperating. Gave us names, dates, transactions. Rowan's entire network is falling apart. Good. You did this, Ms. Vance. You brought down one of the most powerful criminal enterprises on the East Coast. Leora looked at him. I didn't do anything. I just survived. That's more than most people can say. Reeves stood. You'll need to come in, give a statement, answer questions about New Jersey, about tonight. About everything. Am I under arrest? That's up to the DA. But between you and me? Reeves glanced at the burning building. I think they'll see you as a victim who fought back, not a criminal. He walked away. Leora sat there, staring at the flames.
Lucien spoke for the first time in an hour. What now? I don't know. You have money. You could disappear. Start over somewhere new. Maybe. Or you could stay, rebuild, finish what your grandmother started. Leora looked at him. The Phoenix Initiative? Why not? You've got the funds. You've got the story. You've got proof that women can fight back and win. I didn't win. Rowan's dead. My home's destroyed. I've got nothing left. You've got yourself? That's more than you had 6 weeks ago. Leora was quiet. Lucien stood. I'm leaving. Today. There's a plane to Lisbon in 4 hours. New identity. New life. You should come. I can't. Why not? Because I'm not done. Lucien looked at her. With what? With living. Leora stood. The blanket fell from her shoulders. Rowan wanted to erase me, make me disappear, and for 8 years I let him. But I'm still here, and I'm going to make sure every woman who's been erased knows she can come back. Lucien smiled. You really are insane. Probably. He extended his hand. Good luck, Leora Vance. She shook it. Good luck, Lucien Varick. He walked away, disappeared into the crowd of onlookers and emergency vehicles. Leora stood alone on the street, watching her past burn, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 months later. Leora stood in a community center in Brooklyn, facing a room full of women. Some were young, some were old, some were bruised, some were broken. All of them were survivors. My name is Leora Vance, she said. And 6 months ago, I lost everything. My home, my money, my identity. I was erased by a man who thought I was nothing. The women watched her, silent, listening. But I'm here to tell you that you're never nothing. No matter what they take from you, no matter how much they break you, you're still here, and that means you can fight back. She pulled up a screen behind her. The Phoenix Initiative logo. This foundation exists for one reason, to help women who've been destroyed rebuild their lives. We provide legal support, financial assistance, housing, and most importantly, we provide a voice. Because your story matters. Your fight matters. You matter. One woman in the front row raised her hand. How do we know it's real, that you're not just another rich person talking? Leora smiled. Because I've been where you are. I've signed papers I didn't understand. I've walked out of a marriage with nothing. I've been hunted. I've been afraid. And I'm still here. That's how you know it's real. The woman nodded, slowly. Another hand went up. What if we're too afraid to fight? Then we fight for you until you're ready to fight for yourself. More hands, more questions. Leora answered them all. After an hour, the meeting ended. The women filed out. Some thanked her, some just nodded. Some said nothing, but their eyes said everything. Margaret appeared at Leora's side. That was good? It was a start. The DA's office called. They're officially dropping all charges related to New Jersey. Self-defense. They bought it. And the evidence tampering? Immunity, in exchange for your testimony against Viktor Sokolov and the others. Leora exhaled. So I'm free. You're free. Jenna joined them. The board approved the expansion. We're opening centers in 3 more cities by next year. LA, Chicago, Miami. Leora looked at them. Thank you. For staying. For believing. Margaret shrugged. You gave us a fight worth having. Jenna smiled. Plus, you're way more interesting than my other clients. They walked out of the community center together. Into the Brooklyn afternoon. The city moved around them. Cars, people, life. Leora's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Proud of you. L. Lucien, wherever he was. Leora smiled, deleted the message, and kept walking. That night, Leora stood on the roof of her new apartment in Brooklyn. It wasn't the Majestic, wasn't the penthouse overlooking Central Park. It was smaller, older. The plumbing made weird noises and the neighbors were loud,
but it was hers. She looked out at the city, a million lights, a million stories. Somewhere out there, other women were fighting the same fight she'd fought, signing papers they didn't understand, walking away from marriages with nothing, being erased. But they didn't have to stay erased. Leora pulled out her phone, opened the foundation's website. Applications from women seeking help, 247. New donations, $1.2 million. Media coverage, 17 articles. 3 TV interviews scheduled. The Phoenix Initiative was real. It was growing, and it was just the beginning. Her phone rang. Margaret. Turn on the news, Margaret said. Why? Just do it. Leora pulled up a news app on her phone. The headline, Federal prosecutor announces indictments in Cade money laundering case, 47 charged, including politicians, business leaders, and international crime figures. Leora read the article. Viktor Sokolov had flipped, given the FBI everything. Names, dates, transactions. Rowan's entire network was crumbling. Senators, judges, CEOs, all going down. You did this, Margaret said. We did this. No. You did. You started it. You refused to disappear. You fought when everyone said you couldn't win. Leora looked at the skyline. Did we win? Does it matter? I don't know. Then here's what I know. You're alive, you're free, and you're helping people who need it. If that's not winning, I don't know what is. Leora smiled. Thanks, Margaret. Get some sleep. We have a deposition tomorrow. Senator Haynes. She's going to be a nightmare. Looking forward to it. Leora hung up. She stood on the roof, alone, staring at the city, and thought about her grandmother, Eleanor Vance, a woman who'd been destroyed by a man and spent the rest of her life making sure it never happened to her granddaughter. She'd built a safety net, a foundation, a weapon, and Leora had used it, not just to survive, but to fight back. She pulled out a photo from her pocket, old, faded, her grandmother, standing in front of this same city, smiling, strong, unbreakable. I did it, Grandma, Leora whispered. I didn't let him erase me. The wind carried her words away, and somewhere in the city, a woman signed divorce papers, walked out with nothing, and saw a news story about the Phoenix Initiative, about a woman named Leora Vance who'd lost everything and fought back, and decided not to give up. That was the real victory. Not bringing down Rowan, not destroying his empire, but proving that being erased wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Leora looked out at the city one last time, then went inside. She had work to do. 6 months later. Leora stood at a podium in a hotel ballroom facing 200 people, donors, advocates, survivors, the Phoenix Initiative's first annual gala. When my grandmother died, Leora said, she left me more than money. She left me a mission to make sure no woman would ever be powerless again. The room was silent. 6 months ago, I stood in a courtroom and watched my ex-husband try to take everything I had left. He failed. Not because I was stronger, not because I was smarter, but because I refused to disappear. She paused. Let the words settle. This foundation exists for every woman who's been told she's nothing, who's been erased, who's been broken. We're here to tell you, you're not nothing, you're everything, and we're going to fight for you. Applause filled the room. Leora stepped back from the podium. Margaret and Jenna stood beside her. Good speech, Jenna said. Thanks. You really believe it? Leora looked out at the crowd, at the faces, at the survivors who'd come to celebrate. Yes, she said. I really do. Later that night, after the gala ended, after the donors left, after the staff packed up, Leora sat alone in the empty ballroom. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Viktor Sokolov, sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. Another alert. Senator Patricia Haynes resigns amid corruption charges. Another, Cade Enterprises assets liquidated. Proceeds to fund victim compensation. Rowan's empire. Gone. Destroyed. Erased. Just like he'd tried to erase her. Leora closed her eyes, and for the first time in 8 years she felt at peace. Not because Rowan was dead, not because his empire had fallen, but because she'd survived. She'd rebuilt. She'd refused to be a victim, and that was enough. She stood, walked out of the ballroom, into the Manhattan night. The city glowed around her, a million lights, a million lives. And somewhere in that vast, indifferent metropolis, she'd carved out a space, a foundation, a legacy, a future, not as Rowan Cade's ex-wife, not as a victim, but as Leora Vance, survivor, fighter, phoenix. She walked down Fifth Avenue, hands in her pockets, head high, and behind her, in the darkness, the ghosts of her past faded. Rowan, the penthouse, the woman she used to be, all of it, ash. Ahead the city stretched infinite, full of possibility, full of women who needed help, full of fights worth having. Leora smiled and kept walking into the future she'd built from the ruins of her past, unbreakable, undeniable, alive. The end. If you enjoyed this story of survival, resilience, and the power of refusing to be erased, please like this video and comment with the city you're watching from. Your support helps stories like Leora's reach women around the world who need to hear them. Remember, you are never nothing, you are everything, and your fight matters. Thank you for staying until the end.